Let's hello, you absolute lovelies. We are into the second half of the final season of The Boys, and what an episode 5 we got. There's going to be full spoilers for the episode, and there is a lot to spoil because this episode brought us, spoilers, some cameos we've been waiting for a very long time. It brought us lots of comic details I didn't expect in this late in the game that related to things I didn't expect us to get. It brought us some cameos. It brought us kind of all the beats you expect from The Boys and furthered the narrative in a very interesting way using a Magnolia-esque different hodgepodge of narrative storyline. Let's dive in again, full spoilers. Okay, so everyone has been waiting for Jared Padalecki. I am not a Supernatural guy. I never watched it. I'm so sorry. I just know them as guys that love the world of cons, and they are so in that world that I have respect for them and how they treat fandom. To see these guys who clearly love the world of fandom play in this way against type, because I hear Padalecki is more like the good guy, the clean, squeaky clean. To see the fun of them playing Mr. Marathon and Soldier Boy, and then Misha Collins taking out Homelander, all of that was just, as an outside source, such a delight, and I know that's something a lot of people have been waiting for, so that was a lot of fun, but I didn't expect the episode where we got that trifecta to be an episode that was basically, this is the end. This is the end of The Boys, and we got this is the end in The Boys, and the fate of that, because obviously Seth Rogen, Evan Goldberg made This Is the End, but they're also the producers of The Boys, so to see, as a movie nerd, to see them reunite, like Chris Mintz-Plasse reuniting with Seth Rogen made me so happy. To see Will Forte pop up in here made me so happy. To see Craig Robinson, who's also in This Is the End, that whole dynamic come to play, it was so layered in movie meta-ness while also serving the narrative, because we're at the point in the story where there's a bit of a Red Scare going on. In Hollywood, in reality, there was a time when people were making lists and ratting out people for being communists, ratting out their fellow friends and betraying people, saying they were blank. And now we're hitting a point in the Boys storyline where people are betraying each other, saying they're Starlighters, saying they have this betrayal. So to have the scene with a bunch of Hollywood cameos that we identify as cameos from another big thing, because of the producer of this property, all talking about this new version of the Red Scare, while also touching on the Black Lives Matter moment and the different ways people are very performatively altruistic, but publicly, and using social media in a way. The layers of that, I thought, really made those cameos work, especially this late into the show. Now, those are some top billing highlights, because I want people to have conversations about the crazy big stuff, but on a scale of season 5, episode 5, on something this deep in the game, I was so impressed at a small detail of having Terror be the way we had our inlay to the Boys themselves. To have our eye line to the Boys themselves be a character we've not gotten a lot of time with in the show. I don't think there's as big of an emotional attachment to Terror on Amazon as there is to the comic books by any scale, because the Terror of the comic books is one of the Boys. He's a lead. He is an essential part of the Boys. We don't get a lot of time with him. Here, he gets to be the way that we see the Boys not putting on airs around each other. Here, we get to see how these characters interact when they're not having their bravado up, and how they'd actually deal with things. Kamiko is going to be very different around Frenchie. Frenchie, talking to Terror, is going to be more honest. And we also get that with some insight into where Mother's Milk is. Seeing Mother's Milk broken in a different way, him saying he's better off without his family, is a new level of broken. And we've seen him say they're better off without him, but to have that reversed and to also have his OCD gone because of the amount of pressure he's under, and him kind of being like, screw it, apathetic, I'm so done. He's a lot more like Butcher than he's ever been. So to see Butcher concerned, to see that dynamic was fascinating, and to see Huey finally get through to Butcher by way of Terror gives Terror a lot more importance, gives us all these things while also being an eyeline for him. Now, those are obviously the comic and pop culture elements, but narratively, we see something I didn't expect, which is kind of a Firecracker arc that goes back to her first appearance. It predates it, but also gives her context for her as a character to a depth that I didn't expect. This show is very much attacking religion in a way that it's already attacked other forms of idolship. In idolatry in our culture, people want to look to things. They want to feel comforted, so they look to sports. This show addresses sports and soups in that way. People look to movies because they want idolship and worship, and they want to feel like something aspirational, and they want to feel that connection to others, and there's that tribe mentality of film and all those things. This movie obviously picks apart movies and celebrity culture. It does it in this episode. It also is comic books. We look to comic books to find our morals and our ethics and to find like-minded people. So a lot of pop culture is a lot like religion in that you're using something that is a story, a fiction, a narrative, a place to feel comforted, but also to find people like you. So I love that this show is addressing the hypocrisy of all these things, of sports, of celebrity, of religion, of comic books, all the things. The show's really good at that. But to give the humanity of Firecracker's need to be loved and need to find a place, and how religion gave her that, and how she could be so devout towards something, to want someone like Homelander to tell her how good she is, to genuinely believe that she is helping a Lord and helping a Savior and helping the next coming, to go from worshiping God to the point of carrying an action figure of Jesus to worshiping a God by breastfeeding him, and believe that you're actually doing this, is so much more interesting than her just betraying her soul and life of following one God for another. And to add the layers of that makes her relationship with Homelander more interesting, makes with Soldier Boy more interesting, and it makes her death so much more impactful, because there's some moments of remorse for a character that is absolutely diabolical, that has caused so many lives to end and to be ruined and to really ruin society. And this is all while reflecting our reality, where in our reality there are people that are actively devout or actively going to church, actively Christian or Catholic or whatever thing they want to call themselves, that are doing that while idolizing someone that betrays all of that, that are actively believing in someone that is burying their wife in the golf course for tax breaks, and harming others, and saying they want to help their neighbor while believing in ICE, and wanting to do all these like hypocritical things. And the show does such a good job literally showing like throwing out of an action figure and worshiping this person that stands for everything you claim to stand against. And that obviously is a reflection of our time in so many ways. So it masterfully told the Firecracker story, really beautifully told terror story by way of getting us the boys. Really did a great job with this cameo medley and bringing us the supernatural thing I know a lot of people have been waiting for. And I just, on a fun little actory note, the acting stuff was really fun, because Black Noir, that actor, has been the actor that played Black Noir since season 1. I did a set visit forever ago, and that dude, like that actor, is actually like in love with the process. And we talked Meisner, who's mentioned in this episode, Stanislavski, those acting things. So to have that reflected in his storyline, because we found out last week that, you know, he's just been method, to add that little actor layer to also go at the manosphere and also go at podcasting, to also go at these things, serving that narrative as well, was also genius. So just really impressed top to bottom. Daveed Diggs has been killing it. Everyone just at the height of their powers here, plus the meme king himself, Anthony Starr, getting to beckon terror with turkey and humping. That's going to be everywhere. So everyone got to win this episode. It was a stacked episode with lots of leads, lots of narrative told in a very interesting chronology, told in a very interesting narrative stitching way, while furthering the main story, while giving us interesting B subplots, while moving the V1 stuff forward, while giving comic fans some stuff, while giving movie fans some fun cameos, while also showing the hypocrisy in a new way of certain things. It's doing all the stuff. Really enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. What did you think of episode 5, season 5 of The Boys? We'll be back next week with episode 6 and lots more stuff on this page. So subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a comment. Like The Boys. What a show. I'm exhausted. That was a lot. All right, bye guys.